The first time we meet Uchiha Itachi, he's the monster of the story. A man who wiped out his entire clan, his parents, his friends, every child who shared his blood. To the world, he was the traitor who betrayed Konoha, the brother who turned love into hatred, the prodigy who fell into darkness. And yet, behind that silence, behind those calm eyes, was someone who carried the weight of peace itself. Because what if, just what if, Itachi wasn't evil at all? What if the villain we grew up hating was the only one who understood what it really meant to protect a village? Every choice he made, every person he killed was for something bigger than himself. He was never chasing power. He was chasing peace in a world that keeps rewarding violence. Uchiha Itachi didn't die as a villain. He died proving that sometimes the good guys just don't get statues. They get forgotten, or worse, misunderstood. But to understand the man who carried peace on his back, you have to go back to the beginning, to the day a 4-year-old boy saw hell and promised to erase it. Before Uchiha Itachi became the quiet legend everyone feared, he was just a kid standing in a battlefield surrounded by corpses. He was 4. His father, Uchiha Fugaku, brought him there during the Third Shinobi World War. The air reeked of blood and smoke. To Fugaku, this was how a shinobi learns reality. He told his son that fighting, killing, and dying were a shinobi's duty, that this was the price of loyalty. But the boy didn't see duty. He saw suffering. He saw what grown men called glory was just an endless loop of death. And at that moment, something inside him changed. He didn't want to become stronger to kill. He wanted to become stronger so no one else would have to. Itachi made a promise to himself right there in the middle of that battlefield. He would erase that hell from the world, even if it meant turning into a weapon himself. That was the first time he chose peace over pride. And when the war ended, he trained harder than anyone, day after day, mission after mission. He wasn't chasing fame or praise. He was chasing a dream that no one else believed in. Then, his younger brother, Uchiha Sasuke, was born. For the first time, Itachi saw something pure. A life untouched by blood, by war, by hate. Sasuke became more than just his brother. He became the symbol of the world Itachi wanted to protect, the living proof that peace was still possible. But peace is fragile in Konoha. And not long after Sasuke's birth, another storm was about to rise. The Nine Tails attacked, and suddenly the Uchiha were blamed, and that was the day the village planted the seed of hatred that would destroy everything. After the Nine Tails attacked, Konoha needed someone to blame. And of course it had to be the Uchiha. The same clan that helped build the village was suddenly treated like a threat. The higher-ups pushed them out, forcing the entire clan to live on the edge of the village, out of sight, out of mind. Uchiha Itachi was 5 when he watched it happen. He saw how the villagers avoided his family, how fear slowly replaced respect. He saw his clan's pride turning into anger. To him, both sides looked wrong. The Uchiha were blinded by pride. The village was blinded by paranoia, and he stood right in the middle, already too wise for his age and too quiet to be understood. While other kids were playing ninja, Itachi was studying history. He was watching people, trying to understand why humans keep repeating the same mistakes. Even as a child, he saw that peace was always temporary and hatred always found a way to crawl back. As years passed, his talent grew fast. He graduated from the academy in just 4 months and became a genin at 7. Everyone called him a prodigy. The village praised him. His clan adored him, but that praise came with expectations. To Konoha, he was a weapon. To his clan, he was the future. No one ever asked what he wanted. But there was one person who saw him differently. Someone who understood that Itachi wasn't chasing strength for power, but for peace. That person was Uchiha Shisui, and meeting him would change something inside him. When Uchiha Itachi met Uchiha Shisui, it was like finding someone who spoke the same language in a world full of noise. Shisui was older, but not by much. He was calm, loyal, and carried the same pain in his eyes that Itachi did. For the first time, Itachi didn't feel alone inside that clan. The two trained together endlessly. Mission after mission, they sharpened each other's resolve. Shisui wasn't just a comrade. He was the brother Itachi chose, the one who understood that being a shinobi wasn't about glory, but about sacrifice. While the clan whispered about power and bloodlines, Shisui and Itachi talked about peace. They believed strength should protect, not dominate. But Konoha didn't care about philosophy. To them, a talented Uchiha was both an asset and a threat, and that tension was growing louder. Itachi's genius made him stand out. By the age of 10, he had already joined the Anbu. The same people who smiled at him in public were now the ones using him in secret, and his father, Uchiha Fugaku, proudly called him a spy for the clan. But Itachi wasn't spying, he was observing. He was trying to understand how a village could call itself peaceful while preparing for another war from within. Shisui could sense the burden Itachi was carrying. He was the only one who ever told him, "Don't let their hate decide who you are." It was a small sentence, but it meant everything, because Itachi was already breaking under the weight of two worlds pulling him apart. But talent and loyalty don't mix well in Konoha. The more gifted you are, the faster they use you up. And Itachi was about to learn that even the people who praise you the most are the first ones to turn you into a tool. By the time Uchiha Itachi was 13, the tension in Konoha had become impossible to ignore. The Uchiha clan was done waiting for respect. They wanted control, they wanted power, and their plan was simple, a coup d'etat. To them, this was justice. To Itachi, it was insanity. He had seen what war did to people. He knew that if the coup happened, Konoha would drown in blood and his little brother would grow up in another world of hate. So he tried to stop it, quietly, carefully. But peace is never something people want when they feel wronged. This was when Danzo Shimura entered the picture, a man who called himself a protector of the village but acted more like a vulture waiting for chaos. Danzo saw Itachi's loyalty and turned it into a weapon. He isolated him, made him distrust everyone, even his own clan. To Danzo, Itachi was a perfect tool, smart, loyal, and desperate to protect peace. Then came the moment that shattered him. Uchiha Shisui and Itachi had planned to stop the coup peacefully using Shisui's Kotoa Matsukami to change Fugaku's mind. It could have saved everyone. But Danzo got to Shisui first. He ambushed him, stole his eye, and ruined everything. When Shisui appeared before Itachi, half dead and bleeding, he didn't beg for help. He smiled. He handed Itachi his remaining eye and told him to protect the village. Then he jumped into the river and disappeared beneath the water. That was the moment Itachi broke. His best friend was gone. His clan didn't trust him. The village he swore to protect had betrayed him. And Danzo was there to pick up the pieces, whispering the same lie over and over, that the only way to protect peace was to destroy the Uchiha. From that day on, Itachi stopped being a son or a brother. He became Konoha's silent executioner. When Uchiha Itachi stood at the crossroads between his clan and his village, he was only 14. Imagine you 14, and forced to decide who lives and who dies. On one side stood his family, his blood, his childhood. On the other stood peace, or at least what he thought peace meant. Danzo gave him a choice that wasn't really a choice. Either stand with the Uchiha and watch Konoha burn, or slaughter his clan to protect the village. Itachi knew what would happen if the coup succeeded. The other nations would see Konoha's weakness, another world war would begin, thousands would die, and his little brother would be caught in it. So he did the unthinkable. He chose the village, he chose peace, he chose to become the villain. That night, Konoha was silent. No alarms, no screams at first, just the soft sound of blades cutting through a clan that never saw it coming. He killed his comrades, his cousins, even the parents who raised him. He did it quickly, cleanly, with tears in his eyes, because for him, this wasn't an act of hate, it was mercy twisted into madness. When he reached his parents, Uchiha Fugaku didn't fight back. He told him, "Do not be afraid. This is your path. Take care of Sasuke." That was the moment the boy inside him died. The world would only ever see a murderer, but in his heart, he was still a brother trying to save the only family he had left. Before leaving, Itachi went to Uchiha Sasuke. He showed him the truth he wanted him to believe, that Itachi had killed everyone to test his own power. He made himself the monster so Sasuke could have a reason to live. And when the sun rose over Konoha the next morning, peace returned. But it wasn't real peace. It was silence, bought with blood. From that night on, Uchiha Itachi was dead to the world. Only the ghost of him walked on. After that night, Uchiha Itachi became a ghost. To the world, he was a traitor who joined the Akatsuki. To Uchiha Sasuke, he was a monster who destroyed everything good in his life. Itachi never stopped watching over his brother. Every move he made inside Akatsuki was part of a bigger plan. He kept his distance, but his eyes never left Sasuke. He wanted him to grow stronger, to find the truth one day, and to kill him. That was Itachi's punishment, his redemption, and his way of giving Sasuke a purpose. He made a deal with Danzo and the third Hokage. He told them to protect Sasuke in exchange for his silence about the truth of the massacre. If anything happened to his brother, he would expose Konoha's darkest secret to the world. Even after destroying his clan, Itachi was still fighting for the last Uchiha. But saving Sasuke's body came at the cost of destroying his soul. Every time Sasuke remembered that night, every time he saw those red eyes, he relived the death of his parents. The hate Itachi planted in him grew stronger than any love he ever had. And that was the plan. Itachi believed that hate could be turned into strength, that by carrying that pain, Sasuke would survive in a cruel world. But he underestimated what that hate would do. It consumed him. It twisted the boy who once admired his brother into someone who only lived for revenge. Itachi's plan worked. Sasuke became stronger, but he also became broken, the same way Itachi had been broken years before. That's the irony of it all. The peace Itachi tried to protect ended up creating another war inside his own brother. And while the world kept calling him a criminal, he carried that guilt alone. Every mission, every battle, every kill he made inside the Akatsuki was just another way to make sure Sasuke stayed safe. But even ghosts get tired, and when Itachi's body began to fail, he decided it was time to end his story the way he had planned from the start. He was going to die by Sasuke's hands. For years, Uchiha Itachi lived as a shadow among criminals, a man wearing the mask of a villain to protect a village that would never honor his name. He joined the Akatsuki not because he believed in their cause, but because it allowed him to watch from the inside. Every move he made, every fight he took was another layer of the lie he carried. When the time comes, he was sick, his body was falling apart, but he kept going because he still had one last mission: to die by his brother's hands, to make his little brother, Sasuke, the hero of their clan and restore their name, even if it meant being remembered as the monster who destroyed it. When the two finally faced each other, Itachi didn't fight to win. He fought to test Sasuke's resolve. Every strike, every jutsu, every word he said was part of a final lesson. And when Sasuke finally stood above him, exhausted and furious, Itachi smiled. He reached out and tapped his brother's forehead one last time, just like he did when they were kids. That small gesture said everything he never could. "I'm sorry. I'm proud of you. You're free now." And then he fell. Not as a villain, not as a hero, but as a brother who finally found peace in death. Only later did Sasuke learn the truth. The truth that every person in Konoha had buried. That Itachi wasn't the clan's executioner. He was its savior. That the man he hated most had protected him from the shadows his entire life. When that truth came out, the world's image of Uchiha Itachi shattered. The same people who called him a traitor now called him a martyr, but he never needed their praise. Everything he did quietly, without recognition, without reward, because peace, to him, was never about being remembered. It was about making sure no one else had to carry the same pain. Itachi lived by a utilitarian belief. If one life had to end so that many others could live, he would make that choice. Not because he was heartless, but because he thought peace demanded it. To him, feelings didn't matter as much as outcomes, and that's what made him both terrifying and selfless. A man who measured morality by the number of lives it could save, even if it meant losing his own humanity. In the end, Itachi's life is a contradiction. He was both the savior and the sinner, the killer and the protector, the villain and the peacekeeper. His story isn't about good or evil, it's about sacrifice, about how much one person can lose chasing a dream the world isn't ready for. And maybe that's why Uchiha Itachi still resonates so deeply, because behind all the jutsu and the myth, there was just a man who loved too much and paid too high a price for it. So the next time you see him, remember, he wasn't running from guilt, he was protecting peace in the only way the world would let him. If you had to choose between peace and the people you love, what would you do? Drop it in the comments. And hey, if this story hit you even a little, like the video, subscribe, and keep the bell on. Thanks for watching. Seriously.